Win, Tigers win. Actually, you could say that times two here today as LSU men's baseball beats Central Arkansas 4-3. A very highly contested game on the diamond today for LSU. Obviously, a little chirpy matchup here with Texas A&M as the Lady Tigers take down the Fighting Lady Aggies as Kim gets another win. We'll talk a little bit about the game since we postponed a little bit of our show an hour late from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, mainly due to the just the overall nature, really and truthfully, of the Lady Tigers playing. I just don't like going and doing live shows when the Lady Tigers or just anybody is playing or LSU is playing. Just don't like doing it. So we are here and we are here now. But we do got lots to talk about. I will go on a little bit of a Rufino's Rants here tonight on live on a Monday, mainly due to the fact we got a lot of people out here like trashing on Jaden Daniels a little bit. So I want to touch on these draft guys. Like these draft guys are constantly talking about J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, who, hey, look, man, he won a national title at Michigan this past year. He didn't look completely bad. He's just not Jaden Daniels. And I got to admit, I just, for me, have not seen someone with the accomplishment of Jaden Daniels at LSU take more criticism. Like, I think he is one of the bigger athletes that we've seen here, best athletes that we've seen here, and he constantly is taking shit. You know, if somebody were to talk about Burrow like that, now I get it, it's Burrow, it's a little bit different. Anybody talks about anybody, LSU, it's different when they talk shit about Jaden versus anybody else. I don't necessarily know why that is. People just, and it's not really even from people inside of LSU, but outside. Like, I'm really ready to debate anybody. Like, how you can put J.J. McCarthy and start putting Jaden Daniels in the same sentence is absolutely asinine to me. It's asinine to me. So we'll talk about that a little bit here too tonight. So we'll talk a little bit about the women later on in the show as they take down the Aggies. We'll break down the baseball game. Very highly contested. We'll go around your SEC as well. In case you missed it too, we said this in the early part of the day. Starting in March, we're going to be doing, and we could kind of start it now and start teasing it. I told you we'll be publishing a lot of content. We'll be doing a little, and I say a midday show. I had a lot of suggestions today to move it up to 10 a.m. Okay, we might do that, maybe even after lunch. I like the 10 a.m. slot here, as we'll do a whole new little sideshow here called Around Your SEC. So it's going to be fun adding on another part of that. We're going to get a lot of guests. I think my goal in here is on these midday shows or mid-morning shows, mainly just for me to get out of the way, talk and have interviews with people from around the conference so we get to know it. So we'll talk a lot of LSU here. We will continue to do that. Our normal shows stay the same. We're just adding on a piece of content here. So we got lots and lots to discuss here tonight. Dane Bergeron said draft nerds have not played a down of football in their lives. They have not. They have not. Speltrum Wellcare says that kid Jaden. Indeed. Steven Young says Jaden had the highest single season passing efficiency of all time in college football last year. And which is so insane to me. You know, like, think about, can we talk about this for a minute? This comment from Steven Young. He says Jaden had the highest single season passing efficiency of all time in college football last year. And what's nuts about that is all we talked about during the offseason was his passing efficiency. Like, it's all we talked about. That kid got better, and he won the Heisman. And, you know, if he has a top 30, top 50 defense, he probably wins a national title. You can make the argument because of that national title run is arguably going to be the number one overall consensus pick because of what he just did. Caleb Williams couldn't do it, and he'd be battling 1-2, and nobody would say a damn word about it. But because Matt House was absolutely abysmal at his job, here we are. Oh, by the way, Bourbon Blake is back on a Monday, but Bourbon Blake is back. Little sip from the AYS cup here. Oh, good. Lance Hill says maybe May is good, but I see Danny Dimes when I see him. Yeah, that's tough. I actually think he's better than Danny Dimes, to be real with you. I actually don't mind Drake May. I actually like Drake May a lot. But one thing that I have a knock on Drake May is he just didn't really win a lot of big games. And I know a lot of people say that that's not a big deal. They use the Peyton Manning analogy. Well, Peyton didn't win the national title. Actually, Tennessee won the national title a year after Peyton Manning left. He never beat Florida. They still won a lot of games with Peyton Manning at Tennessee. So look, yeah. Dane says, welcome back to Bourbon Blake. I was a bourbon cowboy in my younger days. Yeah, this will be the only glass of the night, Dane. I as the great Toby Keith once said, I ain't as good as I once was, but I was good once as I ever was. Jerica Hayes says, I guess A&M wanted that smoke. And she sends some laughing face emojis, I think. She says, pause. But they wanted it. Yeah, they did. And they got called for it, man. They got called for it as well. I do want to reference this because this is out there, okay? There is an article that is out there by Ross Dellinger, okay? That I do think is funny. It's actually from Bro Bible, but it's just quoting a Ross Dellinger report that about LSU transfer CJ Daniels. I might reference here tonight too. We might have a little one of those deep conversations. Like there's some rumors out there flying. Maybe we need to address them. Maybe need to talk about them a little bit. Because they're making the waves. So we might do that too. Carlton Landry says, let's face it, our defense sucked ass. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Where is everybody listening from tonight? Are you in the 225, the 337, the 504? The 985, the 318-31 great. Where are you listening from tonight? And don't just give us the area code. Like, tell us what city you're repping here tonight. I always like going through those and seeing where everybody is watching the show. Hashtag Ask Blake says, Nathan, how come LSU didn't let Christian Little pitch? They did. Or maybe saying don't let Christian Little pitch. They did. They did today. I would expect, and we'll talk about this too, in the breakdown. I thought that I thought he had a really good outing. To be real with you, I just think he had a bad scenario fall his way here. Maybe Jay, I think Jay was playing the matchups with Primo coming in when he did, but I thought Christian Little did not have a bad performance at all. I thought he actually looked pretty decent. I think if that's the Christian Little that you get this year, he's gonna be just fine because he's got good enough stuff that if he fills the zone with that many strikes, he's gonna be fine, man. I mean, he's gonna be fine. He's just got to throw strikes. He throws strikes. He's good enough and talented enough that it won't matter. He showed 4 pitches today that were really nasty. That I do think that Christian Little, like, let's see what you got here. I mean, the talent is there. The talent has been there. If he's going to throw strikes like that, then you're in. Look, at no point, let me say it like this. Christian had some good outings last year. I'm just thinking. I don't remember Christian Little looking like that today. Like, he did strike out a lot. I mean, he had 40 plus strikeouts last season. Okay, he had a 7.79 ERA or 7 plus ERA. I thought what he looked like today was the best Christian Little that we had seen. How about this? Thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat. Do you think today's performance by Christian Little was one of the better ones that you had seen? I could make the argument it's the best that I've seen at LSU. Today he looked determined. He looked I just thought he was in the zone a lot. Like, I do think, I mean, multiple times his fastball's up to 97, 98. He looked good, man. He looked really good. So I'm intrigued by what I saw with Christian Little. Chance Babin says, Eula's mustache. I hope I'm saying that right. Guys, correct me in the chat if I'm not saying that right. Yola's mustache. There we go. Yola's mustache in SEC stash is SEC stash of the week. Okay. Somebody tell me how to pronounce it in the chat. Give me a good pronunciation. You know how bad I am with names. Joel says he's in Mandeville. Well, Mandeville, Cade Anderson started today for the Tigers. Didn't look too bad. We'll touch on him as well. Hakeem is in Mableton, Georgia. Mableton, Georgia. Stand up. Where is Mableton? I know it's in Georgia, but what part of Georgia are you in? Brandon Reese says the 205 Tuscaloosa. Brandon, every time you say that, I just feel bad for you. I feel so bad for you. Jerry Bean says Little got where he couldn't throw strikes. Oh yeah, last year he couldn't. I mean, he was so bad. Today I thought he looked much better. And look, we can mention this. I mean, we'll mention it in just a minute. I mean, he comes in to the top of the fifth. I mean, he gets a ground out to himself. He gets a strikeout and a fly out to right field. Top of the sixth, he gives up a walk and then a pass ball. Okay, not great. But he gets a field, or let me back up. He gets a fielder's choice and then the pass ball. So he gets another ground ball to himself, a play that should have been a double play. So he gets a dribbler back to himself. Stephen Milam has a little situation where he gets in front of Michael Braswell, and they kind of have a confusion. Thank God Braswell actually caught that, had a situation where he could have had a double play, 2 outs in the sixth. He gives up a single in the 6 hole, and then he gets a ground out, or then Primo comes in and gives up a ground ball to himself. I do think that when you look at it holistically, like on paper, it felt closer and it felt a little bit more intense, obviously, because you were only up 4-2 at that point. But I thought he looked fine. I thought he looked fine. All right, we got it in here finally. Tyler Scott says, he's saying, Ola. There we go. So I wasn't saying it wrong. Yola. You only live once. Chance says, damn, Cole, where are neighbors? Damn, Cole, we are neighbors. Oh. Because Cole said he's in Canyon Lake, Texas. How about that? The 210. Rose Pine is in the house, says Dane. Good to have Rose Pine, good old Rose Pine up in here. Chance is in, I can't say that, Cibolo. Joel says, who plays DT next year? Sean Washington, Jacoby and Guillory, and Dominic McKinley. That's who plays DT. All right, let's get rolling. let's get this thing rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those social media groups on Facebook. Look, if you're on the book, hit that like button. Share. It says groups. Share some LSU groups that's in there. Share to your own social media pages. Guys, it goes boom, boom. If you're on Facebook, boom, boom. I just need you to move this little index finger, hit this little button that says like, and hit the button that says share, and then put share now. That's all I need you to do. All right, do that for me right now. You're watching us on YouTube. Listen to us. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty. We break down the baseball game. Going to talk a little bit about Jaden Daniels in the draft. We do that next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
We're back. Tulane, with the early start of the baseball season, they are 2-1 on the early year. Big grand slam late. A team that you faced in the regional last year. A lot of people didn't think they'd make it. They had to win their conference tournament to get in. They do. They had an automatic bid. They get in. They play LSU. Actually wasn't, the team that kind of touched up Paul Skeens a little bit. One of the only teams that touched up Paul Skeens last year. Remember when Paul Skeens took that really hard ground ball up the middle against Tulane and had the big old bruise on the back of his leg? Remember those good times? Came against Tulane. All right, let's talk about it. So LSU rounded out their opening weekend series with Central Arkansas today on a Monday. I would be very intrigued to know when the last time LSU in the regular season played on a Monday. But nevertheless, maybe it was last year and we're just misremembering. Maybe that Texas game last year was on a Monday. I don't remember. But LSU going 4-0, and the opening weekend had a lot of good things, some questionable things in the weekend, and some things that we got to really talk about. None bigger. Look, I do think that the walks are something that we need to discuss from this pitching staff from this weekend. Now, opening night, you give up 8 runs. The next day, you give up 0. You only give up 2 today. You gave up some runs yesterday, but you're kind of emptying the bullpen in a game like yesterday. But look, an early season team who you faced twice in Central Arkansas, look, the games weren't pretty. Right? Like the games weren't really pretty at all. From the 4th inning on, Alvetti from Central Arkansas came out and completely shoved it right down your throat. The little sidearm delivery today, you did not have an answer for. Now, Tommy Tanks hit a ball, line drive into right field that off the bat was 105.5 miles an hour. There were some really hard hit balls. Jared Jones blasting one into the midday sky. But this team, I got to admit, man, we need to talk about some of the walks that they have, But I turn right around and say, well, man, you got another kid in Kane Anderson who started today that, had some struggles or at times, but at the end of it, and when he comes out after 4 innings pitched, he has a day where he's got 6 strikeouts on the day, which a guy who could be in the midweek. Like, guys, you could legitimately have a midweek guy that looks like that on the mound. Now, I will tell you, I don't remember a year under Jay that you had a midweek guy that looked like Cade Anderson. So, we need to talk about the walks, which I do think will be better as the season goes on. I do think that this staff is talented enough to cut a lot of those down. But they also had a lot of big moments too. I go to the top of the 4th in Anderson's last inning of work. He starts out the inning with a strikeout. He gives up an infield single, to Braswell in a really, really tough play. Threw it to first. It was an overthrow, but he was trying to make a play. The one that Brady Neal, if you remember, was behind Jared Jones and actually got to the ball. They ruled that an infield single, but he gives up a walk. So you got a runners on first and second, 1 out, and you ask yourself, what can this young kid do? Well, all he did against Allen and Bowman from Central Arkansas was get back-to-back Ks to end his day. So, you're having innings where you're getting walks and even some tough break infield singles against a really inferior opponent. But a lot of times this weekend and today, the staff would get themselves into a very interesting situation. Let's see what happens here. You fight him and you fight it off and you win the inning to get out of there. Now, you gave up some runs here and there. Some of it was a lot of times you just shooting yourself in the foot, but I do think that this team's got to get a little bit more consistent. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Opening day, 11 runs. I thought you hit the ball well. Obviously, I thought you hit the ball well yesterday when you scored 27 runs. You have 27 hits. That's hard to do against anybody, really. Like, 27 hits against anybody is freaking insane. But I also look at the game before. You have a really good game at the plate, not one. A really good game at the plate, not one. Now, again, we're talking about the opening series of the year in college baseball. Would you rather be a team like Arkansas, who also had a 4-game series with James Madison in fall one? Would you rather have lost a game that maybe you shouldn't have? Early season with young teams are always different. There's going to be tough games that they got to play. And I know deep down, Jay's never going to admit this. He loves these early season struggles with this team. Because the early season struggles with this team, with a lot of young players starting, it's like the Nick Saban of football. Hey, man, we win a game by we win a game by 10. Nick Saban's never happy. Now, Jay doesn't really have that demeanor, but he knows what buttons now that he gets to push to really start getting himself and this team in the right direction. Because, look, you are the reigning defending national champions. Hey, man, I wonder what Jay's conversation is going to be like tomorrow morning with this team and say, hey, you faced a little sidearm guy in Alveda today with Central Arkansas, and all he did when he came in the bottom of the 4th, and the bottom of the 5th, and the bottom of the 6th, and the bottom of the 7th, when he's retiring all of your asses in order, I bet you Jay's going to look at him and say, got you right. I got this team right where I want them. That's how I feel. Because I think Jay wants to be able to push those buttons. Now, you got another little series like this weekend, starts on Thursday. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of this plays out and this weekend plays out. I think it's going to be another good weekend where you can test yourselves. You actually got Stony Brook this weekend. And I got to tell you, Stony Brook coming back to the box is something that I know this is going to sound petty and it's going to sound stupid. Want a little bit of revenge against them. I know it's Stony Brook. Last time I remember Stony Brook coming to the box, well, they went on and beat our ass and went to a College World Series. Now, maybe that's just me being a little petty of an LSU fan. You come out of the gates absolutely on fire. You bat around. You get a line drive left field single from Tommy White. Okay, there's a pass ball, okay, later than he would score on, but you get an RBI double from Chavinsky. Neal gets hit by a pitch. You got a walk by Jones. Pearson strikes out. Bingham gets an RBI walk. Okay, Brown and Braswell both get out to end the inning. So you start the game off pretty hot, getting 3 runs. Then you come into the bottom of the fourth here, or excuse me, bottom of the third here. Jones leaves off the inning with a massive home run. You would not score again. Now, you can take this one of two ways, okay? You can take it that it's good to see LSU early in the year with this pitching staff, okay, win a game against an opponent where the score is 2-0 and 4-3. Maybe you don't like it because it's not LSU. It's not what you had last year. There are a lot of young guys. There's some mishaps, but I have no fear that when the heat starts or when the weather starts heating up, so will these bats. I know that you're concerned about the walks. I know that you're concerned on some of the things that you saw on the mound. Okay. The bottom line for me is you're 4-0 and your pitching staff, when it mattered most, got you out of jams. Against inferior opponents. They did exactly what they needed to do. I mean, guys, I could make the argument. Now, yesterday is a little bit, how much do you grade yesterday on the runs that you gave up? But I look at the last 3 days and say, yeah, okay. You emptied the bullpen against VMI, kind of a down Sunday game. When you had your guys in there, like your dudes in there, you weren't giving up shit. What happens when you got to be serious? How good can this staff be? Now, a guy that I do want to talk about that I think is interesting and an integral part of this pitching staff, whether you like it or not, or can be an integral part of this pitching staff. Okay, we talked about Cade Anderson and how dominant I thought the freshman was today. I look at Christian Little after the top of the 5th that he had, and him going 1 through 2, 3, gets a ground out to himself. He gets a strikeout, then a fly out. He comes into the top of the 6th. He gets a walk, okay? He would wind up getting into a situation where he gets a small dribbler back to himself, okay? He's about to turn to the young freshman, Milam, gets in front of Braswell. Looks like a really weird play. You're kind of glad that a bad situation like that happened. And you had Michael Braswell, the experienced shortstop that was there, catches it. And it's like, hey, man, let's get the out, settle down. What are you trying to do? I could have tried to turn 2 there. So then he gives up an infield single. I mean, guys, really and truthfully, he gets 2 ground balls that could have gotten you double plays to get you out of both innings. I just, then he gets taken out. Jay goes and plays a little bit of a game where look, man, let's just call it what it is. He played matchups. I don't think it's anything Christian Little did. Thought it was one of the better performances we saw of Christian Little. And we're going to see him again this weekend. We're going to see him again probably on that massive little road trip that you're going to go on. And he's going to I think he can be an integral part of your staff. Let's see if the command stays the same. Let's see if the accuracy remains the same. You saw a good fastball from him. His slider and cutter were working. He threw a changeup for a strike that actually got a strikeout on that changeup. Remember, I know that Ben McDonald talked about that. Really good changeup to the lefty to get him out. Just kept falling off the table. So I look at that as well. Uola comes in and Guidry come in and pretty much close the door for you. Guidry comes in, okay, and Lawar comes in. Lawar comes in and does give him an RBI single, okay. He's not able to get out of the Guidry jam, so Guidry gives up a line drive single in the left field. Lawar comes in, gets a strikeout, gives up an RBI single in the right field. but then he gets another strikeout to end it. So he has an inning where he's got three strikeouts. He does give up a hit that scores a run. He comes into a tough spot there. But then Uola comes in and closes the door. He gets 3 ground balls and gets you out of there. Guys, this staff did exactly what they needed to do. 1,000%, this LSU pitching staff today did what they needed to do. They got ground balls. They came in crucial situations. Lawar comes in a critical situation. So does Uola, the best mustache in all of college athletics, and shuts the door for you. Even though your offense, which again, I do not worry about right now, did what you needed to do. Jay has put a good staff together. I know your worries with the walks, and that is fine. That is a very good argument to have. The difference with last year's staff, yeah, you had the walks last year. You couldn't get any of the punch outs and couldn't get the outs when you needed them. Couldn't get a ground ball when you needed it. I look at this staff, yeah, a walk is going to be a little bit different because even when you got guys like Lawar, so Guidry gives up a line drive, he gives up a hit as well, but he comes in and strikes out 3 guys and has no real pressure on him and delivers for you. So the Xavier transfer, obviously, Uola coming in from JUCO, I think both of those guys looked really good today. Interesting that he went with Primo. I thought instead of somebody else, and let's also see what Gage Jump can do when they start giving him more time. So look, you're undefeated. You're 4-0. Really good opening weekend. You got some things you got to work on, but that's to be expected. It's 100% to be expected. By the way, I want to end it with this. And I think it's fitting that I'm going to take a drink of the whiskey, the bourbon, because I think that the gentleman that I am about to be talking about, Bear Jones, would like a segment with a whiskey. All right. Do I have concerns or think Bear Jones has got to get better at first defensively? I think that he will. And yes. Guys, you're going to have to give up some of the defense. It is unfair to Bear Jones that he's having to follow Trey Morgan at that position because it's like coming after Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow or replacing a Hall of Fame quarterback in some senses. From a defensive perspective, Trey Morgan was the best to ever do it. I think it's difficult for Bear, and I think he's done really good for now. Got to get cut, got to clean it up, but I think he's done good for now. Guys, what that kid could do this year, like guys, we're sitting here on February the 19th. Bear Jones leads your team in home runs, and I texted our good buddy today, one of the sponsors of the show, Tyler Alexander, and I just asked myself the question: are we going to sit up May, June, maybe even early July, and ask ourselves the question? Guys, Bear Jones had 25 home runs on the year. If he stays healthy, continues to do what he's doing. Guys, he had 14 last year as a freshman, and midway through SEC play, he was lifted. Trey Morgan goes over to first. He could have gotten to 20 home runs a year ago. He hit the ball really hard this week. I thought him and Travinsky being around each other in that lineup, that's 2 power right-handed bats, man, that you leave something out there in the middle of the plate, you miss a location, you miss a spot, they're going to destroy the baseball. And he specifically is going to destroy the baseball. You know, he had an out today. I'm pretty sure it was the only really good hit against Alvetti from Central Arkansas. It was the bottom of the 5th, and Bear Jones comes in. I think 3rd pitch he sees. He goes opposite field, deep right center field wall. On the warning track again. I know an out's an out, and it doesn't matter even if it's a long out. But, guys, I'm telling you, on April 19th, on May 19th, on June 19th, that ball that he hit today, obviously the one that went out and the one that he hit in the right center field gap to the warning track, both of those are gone. Both of those are pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye balls that are out of here. I don't know. I think I don't mind because it's Brady Neal, left-handed bat, and that cleanup spot. Brother, I don't know if you don't inch Bear up in the lineup a little bit. I know that's a lot of right-handed bats, okay, in the top of the lineup. Man, he's going to hit the ball really hard for you. Some of his swing and miss stuff, he's gotten a lot more discipline at the plate. I know we're going to talk about his defense, but my God, dude, Bear Jones is just so freaking good. He's an alien. He's an alien, dude. So yeah. Pin Jones says, no, I was trying to get to this one. Max says, Fidel, Raleigh fingers Uola. I mean, he's got to know that he's going to be compared to that, right? Like, Uola's got to know that he's going to be compared to Raleigh fingers. You can't have a mustache like that and not know that that's the comparison that you're going to have. Okay. Need to talk a little bit of football, too. Need to talk a little bit of football here. So let me do this. I do have something that we need to discuss going into March. Because, guys, look, listen now. We are about 2 weeks, right? About 10 days is the 29th. Yeah, so 3. Yeah, so almost a little bit north of 2 weeks away from the opening practice of spring. We do need to talk a little bit of football here. I'll go on a little bit of Rufino's rants with Jaden Daniels too, but there is some stuff we need to talk about football related here, and then we'll wrap up with the Lady Tigers getting that win tonight versus Texas A&M. Let me do this. I got some bills I got to pay. By the way, if you are a business owner, or guys, if you don't know a business owner, send them our way. Tell them we are looking for some ad sponsors on the show. Have a conversation with them. We do have a couple of slots, especially because we're doing the midday show that's starting here as well. All right. So I'm my good friend Carol Falls and Ernie Drake over at the Drake Williams Law Firm. Let me tell you about a good friend, though, John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. If you're buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. Let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. All right. Let's take a quick break. We're back in just a minute. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vicnair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by.
Ruffino and Joe Show is brought to you by Home Field Apparel, which is the best, without a doubt, premium collegiate apparel brand that is out there. They have over 150 different colleges that you can choose from, whether you're an Illinois fan or a Rutgers fan, maybe you're an LSU fan like Blake, or maybe you're an Alabama fan. Whatever it is, even Idaho, they have so many different designs for so many different football programs that I can guarantee you're going to find some great stuff to help root for your favorite team. I've already gotten my Notre Dame stuff. Blake has his LSU stuff. Make sure you head on over to homefieldapparel.com to check out your team's collection of clothing apparel that they have on the website. And when you do so, when you check out, make sure you use promo code RuffinoJoe to get 15% off your order. That is RUFFINO, Ruffino Joe. Head on over to homefieldapparel.com and get your college gear today.
Something that Jaden Daniels is going to hear probably within the top 3 picks in this NFL draft. Very well deserved for him. You know, speaking about Jaden Daniels, I don't know if a lot of you are on social media, specifically for myself on Twitter. There's been a big discussion in the last couple of days. I've seen Louis Riddick of ESPN talking a lot about Jaden Daniels. I've seen a lot of draft guys. And listen, I think it's a good time to remind people what personally I think of draft guys. I think they're dumb because they go all the way through. Now, some of them are dumb. Let me reemphasize. Some of them do not watch the sport of college football. Where in the good wide world you think that you could have a conversation, or at least have a conversation with Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy in the same sentence is absolutely, positively, beyond question, bona fide stupid to me. Now, I don't think J.J. McCarthy's a bad quarterback. I'm sure that there's somebody that's going to take him earlier than maybe they should. He's got a lot of tools, as they say. But I reminded you about guys like Anthony Richardson. I hadn't really missed on that take, even though I do think Anthony Richardson is going to be a little bit more fun than I maybe led on. I just think he had a lot of question marks. Jaden Daniels, it's crazy. I don't know of another LSU player that has taken more criticism in everything that he's actually done at LSU more than Jaden Daniels. You know, as much as the crap that he took in 2022, bench him for Nussmeier, bench him for Nussmeier. He just went on and won the SEC West. Yeah, you went 9-3. Yeah, you got beat by Georgia in the SEC title game. You lost a late game to Texas A&M, probably you shouldn't have lost to. But he just turns right around. You had a lot of complaints about him. I know a lot of people had complaints about him anyway, and specifically about him throwing the ball down the field. Well, he got to work on that. He was the number 1 passer in America on every D pass, 69% completion percentage. Now, it was coming out today about people saying, well, Jaden Daniels really likes the inside fade. All he does is throw inside fades and hitches. You as an LSU fan know that that's not true because you probably watch every snap and know, yeah, those were a lot of things that he did. He had a lot of fade routes. It's funny, though, because I also remember games and situations like Malik Neighbors running a post against Alabama, or a seam. I guess you could call it more of a seam shot, but I would call it a little bit more of a post. And him being wide ass open against Alabama for a score. You know, I remember a really big in route in that same game, I might add, to Kyron Lacey for a touchdown. Not every deep pass that's thrown is a fade route to all you draft geniuses out there. What do I know? All I know is this. Jaden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks, if not best players in this draft. Guys, he's more of a polished passer than Lamar Jackson is. And even though I will say now, even more of a polished passer, in my opinion, than what Lamar Jackson is right now. I do think that, and I hate to say it like this, I do think that Jaden Daniels' coverage IQ is far beyond what we've seen from Lamar so far in his early career. Now, Lamar's a 2-time MVP. What are you talking about? Lamar's won 2 MVPs in the NFL. I'm right there with you. Understand, one of the best quarterbacks in the world, not even the country, just the world. But I think Jaden Daniels is going to be better at him at doing things that you want a quarterback to do, all while having the ability to run the football like Lamar can. That's what I fully think of him. Now, when I see draft guys comparing Jaden Daniels to J.J. McCarthy, guys, I can't tell you, as someone for a living, like, and you know this just as fans, but someone for a living, guys, it is my day job to watch sports all day. And to think that we have people out there who legitimately in their right minds would think that there is a planet Earth out there in any realm of possibility, or I don't even know what Marvel calls them this year, but different universes, whatever universes that you're living in, that there is any possibility that J.J. McCarthy is better than Jaden Daniels is absolutely 100% bona fide, positively dumb and stupid. Please, dear Lord, up above, give these people a brain. How you can look at J.J. McCarthy at Michigan and look at Jaden Daniels in the last 2 years at LSU and come up in your mind that we could compare those two. J.J. McCarthy was a national championship winning quarterback. So was Stetson Bennett. How's he doing? Now, even though I like Stetson Bennett has more and better throws in big-time games, in big-time situations than J.J. McCarthy does. And you're not comparing Stetson Bennett and J.J. Guys, what are we talking about here? There are a couple people in this industry, a couple people in this sport that I look at and ask myself the God's honest question. Are you like the scarecrow from Wizard of Oz because you don't have a brain? They don't. Where did your brain cells go? Did you snort whiteout as a kid? You know, I don't know what the Gen Zers are doing these days, but I'm old enough to remember when Gen Zers were eating Tide Pods. Remember that? Remember when Gen Z people were eating Tide Pods? For those of you that don't know what Tide Pods is what rich people use to wash their clothes. Do I have Tide Pods in my house? Actually, yes, I do. Believe it or not. That doesn't mean we're rich. We go to Costco and get the big old bag. By the way, can I admit something very quickly before I have this football conversation with you for just a minute? Hey, give me a thumbs up in the comments. Who has a membership to Costco? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if anybody's got a membership to Costco. Give me a thumbs up. I need thumbs up because I got to tell y'all something. Give me a thumbs up. Hot take. The cheese pizza, the whole pizza pie from Costco. You can't get slices. You got to get the whole pizza pie. Okay? The cheese pizza from Costco is legit. It's legit. I'm not saying it's one of the better pizzas that I've had. I'm no Dave Portnoy. That stupid cheese pizza from Costco, bruh, I'm telling you. Jared Addison with a $4.99 super sticker. Thank you, Jared. I will get my good friend Carter Hold on 1 second, Jerry. I'll get my good friend Carter to send you one of these for the super sticker. Power Hour LSU. I gotta get this sticker off so I can put it. Okay, so I can stick it on right here in the studio. Okay. Has anybody in here had the cheese pizza from Costco? If you've had the cheese pizza, I'm telling you, got to. Lance says the meat lovers too, bro. Well, yeah, meat lovers. Can I be real with you? As I've gotten older, I don't like eating pizza or like that kind of stuff. I like chips, like chips, and pause. I like eating proteins, different proteins. I was going to say different kinds of meat, and that would have been a massive pause. I like eating I don't need sides. I don't want mac and cheese. I don't want your mashed potatoes. I don't want your mama's raggy tag chicken and dumplings. That's probably tastes like ass. I would rather go out to the Blackstone we got here and fire some up. I made some bacon this week, some steaks, and some smash burgers. Chef's kiss. All right. I really got to get to this. Ingram says it's not better than their pepperoni. Ingram, I got to disagree. I just want a plain cheese pizza. I know I'm a psychopath now. My son Ben, he eats a cheese pizza. I gotta admit, cheese pizza, man, it's kind of where it's at. You get all the grease and stuff. Anyway, okay. Let me talk about this because we're a little bit north of 2 weeks. Actually, I think it's 15 days. But a little bit north of spring camp starting for LSU football. And I do think there are some instant concerns that we've mentioned a lot about in this early offseason or early part of the offseason. I gotta tell you something. We talked about this about 2 weeks ago. And I told you that I've been hearing a lot of big-time stuff coming from the early enrolled freshman class. Tylen Singleton, P.J. Woodland, and Gabe Rutherford. Mainly those three guys we've heard a lot from and a lot about so far early. Let's see what they can do in spring camp. How do they look when the pads come on? We'll start to find out a little bit more in 2 weeks. I got to tell you something, though, on some other things that I'm hearing. I am hearing, though, that Garrett Nussmeier has had a pretty nice offseason. Now, this coming from a place in a school where last year, I got to admit, you heard a lot of the same early things on Jaden. Now, listen to me. Garrett is not going to be Jaden. It's completely different. But I do like early in this process, we're talking about on February the 19th, where a lot of things that are coming out of LSU football ops are that Garrett Nussmeier is already having a really nice start to this offseason. What does he do now? When we go out there in early March, does he start putting things together? I do think that he has a lot of leadership qualities. I think that we have seen when healthy, when he's in a game, what he can do. Because I think that you're in another place with another quarterback like Garrett, who has been in the system a while. He's matured. He's gotten bigger, faster, and stronger. He's matured a lot. And something that we did not see from him when he was a freshman, a redshirted freshman, and at times last year, some things like early in spring, we didn't see in spring last year. I thought he was still a little immature going into spring last year. I do think seeing Jaden Daniels do what he did and the transformation that he had has really helped Garrett. Man, I've been hearing that he's doing some things where he's, I heard he threw around a little bit and he was lighting some people up. I do wonder the connection now that you're going into year 3 where he's had the same exact quarterback coach. Now his quarterback coach is calling plays. I don't expect LSU, as an example, to be where they were with Jaden. I don't think it's fair to putting us in that same boat. I don't think it's fair to say that they're on the same stratosphere right now, or he's on the same stratosphere totally, okay, from where Jaden is. It's just unfair to do for him as a first-year starter. Guys, Jaden Daniels has played and started more games than a lot of quarterbacks in college football. I just constantly, man, when I talk to people up at Football Ops, that the offense has been a big deal. The offensive line, now you got a lot of juniors and upperclassmen on that offensive line. Because now, look, guys, you're talking about junior and Will Campbell at left tackle, a senior and Garrett Dellinger at left guard. You do have a young center, and I always want to call him Lord Cushenberry because they play and had the same number. But DJ Chester, Miles Frazier returns at right guard. And obviously you have Emory Jones at right tackle. They're having a big year. Now, we have talked about some of the concerns. Guys, everything that I've heard early in this offseason so far, and it's gotten to a place where every time I call someone on that staff or talk to someone on that staff, it's always about how the offense is continuing to grow and be really solid and good, which gives me a lot of confidence. I will tell you, I do think that, how do I want to say this? There are serious conversation for what they do at running back. Man, it's just so crazy. They're really reloading. Now, to kind of wrap this up a little bit, you're going to see an article from Bro Bible, and there's an article out there about CJ Daniels and Liberty's head coach Jamie Chadwell. Just throwing this out there really quickly. Jamie Chadwell better shut his mouth because he don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, if you know, you know. I'm really excited to get out to spring football and see this young freshman class. I'm really excited to see this offense, man. I really do think that you are not regrouping. You are just reloading. I fully am almost – I'm not – look, you're replacing Malik Neighbors. That is a big thing to replace. A big-time thing to replace in Malik Neighbors. You're replacing Brian Thomas. It's a big-time thing to replace. I remember both of those guys. You know, Malik had a lot of catches and a lot of yards in 22. He took it up a level in 23. Brian Thomas and Kyron Lacey have shown that Cortez Hankton can develop talent. I think you're going to be more than fine at receiver, man. I think you got nothing but dudes in that room. Catching the football may be one thing. You got dudes. And the offensive line. You're just reloading, dude. You're so stacked. You're stacked, man. Your defense can get you some stops. Anyway, Danny Girl says, once you start filling up on protein, insert my husband's raunchy comment here, then your palate no longer wants all those carb sides. That's true. That's true. I mean, I lost 27 pounds and then stopped, lost 15 pounds and then stopped, but it's been nice. It is nice. I liked my three favorite things. I've eaten a lot of proteins. Once we got that Blackstone, I'm just not a sides guy, man. Now on Sunday for breakfast, Danny, we did some chopped up potatoes and put them on the griddle or the Blackstone. That was nice. It was good to get some carbs, but yeah. All right. Are we watching OLU now? Are we actually OLU now? We could be. Bray Davis is about to get some another good news here soon, I think. Yeah. Lady Tigers had a good night too. Look, man, I like the chirping from I really like the chirping from Angel. Thought they played well tonight. The defense was on point. They played a pretty a non-good team. Kim and this team continues to develop during the season, and I like what I see. I don't mind some of the law. I had people ask me why I have not overreacted to some of the losses in early in the season. I can't, man. I just can't. I'm not going to. All right. Let's get out of here. It's getting a little late. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Peace.